Memorizing tapped arpeggio shapes all over the neck of the guitar can be a real pain in the rump, unless you know the super easy secret that makes it a cinch. Howdy there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Using Eddie Van Halen style tapped arpeggios is a great way to add some flair into your soloing, but memorizing those things the old-fashioned way can be a real hassle. You're either stuck memorizing super long, complicated series of fretboard numbers, or you memorize all the notes that are in a chord triad and go on a scavenger hunt looking for those things across the string. Either way, it sucks. But the truth of the matter is, if you can memorize these two very simple shapes I'm going to show you in this lesson, you can visualize any arpeggio on any string anytime, as long as you know where the root note is. As always, tabs and charts for this lesson can be found over on my Instagram page at Ben Eller Guitars. Just look up hashtag Weekend Wankshop 257, find the tabs, and start playing along. Downloadable tabs, charts, backing tracks, bonus lessons, and more are available to everybody that supports my channel over on my Patreon page at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. So be sure to click the Patreon link in the video description below, sign up today, and start reaping the benefits now. Now, when you think of the more typical Eddie Van Halen three-note sort of tapping patterns that he does all over songs like Eruption and stuff like that, that's more what I would think of as triadic or arpeggio type tapping, where he's using two notes in the left hand and one note in the right hand to outline an arpeggio. An arpeggio, of course, just being the notes of a chord being played one at a time instead of all at once. Here's an E major chord. Here's an E major tapped arpeggio. I'm just basically taking the notes that are in that E major chord and playing them one at a time. And that is the kind of tapping that we're going to be talking about today. How to tap out chord triads to make these cool sounding arpeggios you can add into your soloing and sound locked into the chords. If you want to know the secrets of all chord and arpeggio construction, it really all revolves around the two different types of thirds, major thirds and minor thirds. There's a lot of different ways that we could look at what those thirds are. Sometimes people like to look at them in terms of how they're the distance from the first to third note in a major scale is a major third, and the distance from the first to third note in a minor scale is a minor third or flat third interval. Either way is fine, but I think the easiest way to visualize them on the fretboard is like this. Let's say our root note is A, so the 5th fret here on the high E string. A major third interval can be found by playing that same string but two whole steps above it, okay? So there's one step, that would be our second interval. Here's another step, that's our third interval, right? So it's kind of this wide, throw in the horns sort of shape. That is the distance that we would call a major third. I don't really prefer to think of it as, you know, start here and then play the note 1, 2, 3, 4 frets above it, because I don't like doing math when I play. You know, I don't like thinking, well, if I'm on fret 2, I need to go 4 higher, so I'm looking for 6. Like, I was homeschooled. I'm not good at the maths. I don't want to do that. So I would rather visualize it as the note 2 whole steps above wherever I am. What fret that could be doesn't really matter. I just think if I'm here, 2 whole steps above, there's the third. If I'm here, 2 whole steps above, there's the third. Now let's talk about the other half of the magic, the minor third interval. Now sometimes people call this a flat third. I'll probably kind of interchange them throughout this video. So flat third, minor third, it's the same thing. And as the name implies, it's just like your regular third. So again, that 2 whole step interval, only it's flattened. So it's going to be like this. So in other words, a minor third or flat third interval is going to be played by having a note and playing the note 1.5 steps above it. Again, I don't want to do math here. I just want to be able to visualize a step and a half, and that gives me a minor third interval. So now that you've learned the major third and minor third shapes, you're equipped to play every simple triad across the guitar with tapping. It's really easy. Check this out. Let's say that I was playing over an A major chord and I wanted to get a super victorious sound with a big grandiose Eddie Van Halen style tapped A major arpeggio on top of it. All you got to do is follow this simple rule of thirds. In order to construct a tapped one string major triad arpeggio, here's what you're going to need to do. Put your first finger on the root note of the chord. So we're playing over A, so that means we're going to be using A as a root note, the 5th fret here on the high E string. Although this could be the 2nd fret G string, that's an A note, or the 7th fret D. So anyway, start from any A note. Now, the recipe for making a major triad is really easy. We're going to use both types of thirds here. And how you're going to do it is to start off by using the major third. So again, the 2 whole step interval. Okay, so we've got a root note, the note a major third above it, and then here with our tapping hand, what we're going to do is go from the note that we just added on, right? So root note, there's that major third. And what we're going to do is to play the opposite type of third next. So a flat third or minor third interval. Now you'll remember from a second ago, that is the note 1.5 steps above the note that we're currently on. So we end up playing root, major third, and then minor third. And there's your A major triad. Now tap away, tap away, tap away all. And again, this would work no matter what string you're on or anything like that. Visualize these steps. Don't worry about what fret numbers and stuff you're on. Ignore the dots. Just see the steps and the half steps to make this possible. So let's say we're doing A major from the B string. So 10th fret on the B string is your A note. Again, I guess you got to have a little bit of knowledge about where some of these root notes are, but this gives you an excuse to learn that stuff. Every guitar player needs to work on their note names across the neck, so here's a good reason to do it. So if we're playing A major from the B string, it'd be starting off here at the A note on fret number 10 on the B, major third. Again, I'm not even going to worry about telling you guys what fret I'm on or what note that is. I just want you to visualize step, step. That's where you're going to be. So root note, major third. Then we're going to tap on the minor third above that. Again, that's 1.5 steps. Root, 2 steps, 1.5 step. Now I can already see somebody, furiously typing up a comment right now, talking about how I'm calling this root, major third, minor third, when in reality, in relation to the root note, yes, this note is a fifth, root third, fifth. That's what I'm playing right there. But I'm just talking about the use of minor third and major third in terms of visualizing what these things look like across the board, not so much their true intervallic names. This is a visualization tool to get you playing the right notes. Let's do another example and do something that's maybe a little bit trickier, something that we don't use as much as a guitar player, something like an E flat major arpeggio, right? So I would start off on any E flat note. Let's say let's do this one on the G string. Let's fret number 8 on that string. And just visualize 2 whole steps up for the next note, major third. Then the opposite type of third next, minor third. So quick recap, to make a major chord, go root, major third, minor third. Pretty simple, right? Now the cool thing is in order to make a minor triad, all you gotta do is reverse that formula. So let's say I was playing over A minor, maybe I'm playing over Ain't Talking About Love or something like that, and I wanna play a tapped A minor arpeggio. Now again, I could go for a scavenger hunt looking for the notes A, C, and E, or I could memorize that it's 2, 5, 9 on this string and 5, 8, 12 over here, but who the hell wants to do that, right? It's much easier if you look at it this way. To make a minor arpeggio, start off on your root. So again, we're gonna use A, our 5th fret on our high E string. And you remember how the major was like major third, minor third? Just flip that stuff. So you're gonna go root, minor third. So in other words, the note 1.5 steps above where you are. So root, minor third, and then from that note, tap on a major third. Okay, so again, you can see how there's 2 whole steps between these 2 notes. There's a step, there's my second step, there's my major third type interval. Root, minor third, major third gives you a minor chord. It's really simple. Maybe I want to add some tapping over my favorite Tool riff, so that inevitably means it's going to be in D minor. Well, let's start off on a D note, 7th fret on the G string, hammer on the minor third, then tap on the note a major third above that. You're going to be happy to play in the saddest of all keys. So again, I just want to drill this stuff in. Major chords equals root note, major third, minor third. Minor chords equals root note, minor third, major third. Really easy to see this stuff on the board no matter what position you're in. Now major and minor triads are the heart and soul of most music that we listen to and play, but there's also that, stinky, weird, diminished triad that lurks its way into music every now and then, so you need to learn how to do that one too. Now it's a little bit different, but again, it's still not all that hard to see or memorize. A diminished triad is just going to be made by taking a root note, minor third, minor third. Okay, so you're just exclusively using that 1.5 step jump. So if I was playing A diminished, it would be like root note A, hammer on a minor third, tap on a minor third, and there you go. There's your diminished arpeggio. Root, minor third above that. Major, minor, diminished. Again, just follow the thirds, and that's everything you need to know about building triads. Sometime I'll also talk about using these kind of vertically across the strings to build like sweep arpeggios and stuff like that. And it's the same procedure. If you can visualize minor thirds and major thirds going across the string, you've got it, and you can play every triad that there is. Major thirds, minor thirds, it's all right there. But for now, let me show you guys a really handy way to practice this stuff with your one-string tapping madness. Let's play all of the chord triads that are available to us in the diatonic key of G major, every guitar player's favorite key. Now, in that key, there's going to be a total of 7 different basic triads. We're going to have G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and F sharp diminished. And I want to play those with you guys here using some tapping going across the high E string. Again, this is a perfect way to practice visualizing all these chord triads in different positions. And let's face it, everybody uses the key of G all the freaking time. So if you're going to practice this stuff, that's a pretty good key to use it in. So let's start with the first diatonic triad in this key, which is G major. So start off by finding G, that's our 3rd fret on our high E string. Hammer on the major 3rd, tap the minor 3rd. Okay, so now we got G major. The second chord in this key is A minor. So find your A note, the 5th fret high E string like we used earlier. Hammer on the minor 3rd, tap the major 3rd above that. Instant A minor magic. Next triad is B minor. So we're going to start off by finding B, hammering on a minor 3rd, tapping on a major 3rd. Again, if I look down while I'm doing this stuff and I start staring at those dots, like your fingers just magnetically want to play on top of them and stuff like that. I really just have to ignore thinking about what fret number I'm on, where the dots are, anything like that, and just entirely see this minor 3rd, major 3rd kind of step pattern in order to help me visualize these arpeggios. Next up, we got the 4th triad in this key, which is C major. So start off by finding the C note here on fret number 8. Hammer on the major 3rd, tap on the minor 3rd, C major. Next, we got D major. So we're going to find D here on the 10th fret high E string. Again, good excuse to learn those root notes on whatever string you're playing on. Hammer on the major 3rd, tap the minor 3rd. Next we come here to the 6th chord, the E minor. So we're going to find E, 12th fret here on the high E string. We're going to hammer on the minor 3rd, and we're going to tap on the major 3rd. And then lastly here, we've got everybody's favorite weirdo, the F sharp diminished chord. So again, I'm going to start off by finding this F sharp note here on fret number 14. Hammer on a minor 3rd, tap on a minor 3rd. 1.5 step intervals, that's all you got to see. Great for that F sharp demolished sound. And then lastly, if you want to take it full circle, we're going to be back at G major now that we've played through all 7 triads. So we're going to start off on G, 15th fret high E string, major 3rd, minor 3rd, and there you go. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp demolished, and G major. Now some of you guys might be wondering if it's okay to like mix up the order of notes and stuff like that whenever you're doing tapped arpeggios, and the answer is absolutely. As I was tapping those with that typical Van Halen 3-note pattern, I started on the highest note of all of them, then played the root, then played the 3rd, you know? That's completely out of order, and that's totally okay. The way that I look at building chord triads and stuff is it's a lot like constructing a bowl of cereal, right? You got 3 components. You've got milk, cereal, and spoon. Now, of course, if you're a rational human being, you'll start off by putting the cereal in the bowl, topping it off with milk, and then completing it with that spoon for this part of a balanced breakfast. Now, of course, you can be a complete monster and start with the milk, then the spoon, and then put the cereal on top of that, and that makes you a sociopath, but you are a sociopath eating a bowl of cereal, all the same. So what I'm saying is any order you want to put those notes in, that's absolutely fine. It doesn't change what type of chord you're playing. Whenever we put the notes of a chord in a different order than root, third, and fifth, this is when you start playing around with what we call inversions, which is again the same 3 ingredients just mixed up in a different order. And I'll even use this same like thirds trick to help me play different inversions of arpeggios across the neck too, because you need to know more than just one way to play all these. So like, let's take, for example, A minor, right? So again, traditionally we do root note, minor third, major third, right? Okay, so hold all 3 of those notes down at the same time on that string. Now, could you visualize putting these 2 notes, you know, the hammer-on note and the tap note, in one hand instead? Okay, so in other words, instead of having your left hand playing these 2 notes, imagine if your left hand was on these 2 notes, like this, right? Okay, now that you have those held down, I want you to think about trying to find maybe that root note of the chord again, which is that high A note, which you could play here on fret number 17 of the high E. Now that is still essentially these same 3 ingredients. That's what we started with. It's just in a different order. I put these 2 notes in the left hand, and I'm going to tap that root note an octave higher. Now that you're here in this position, could you imagine taking these 2 notes, right, the hammer-on and the tap, and putting those in the left hand instead? Okay, so now I've got them held down in this hand. Now, visualize that this is the root, right? So you know what the next thing that's going to happen in a minor chord is, say, minor third. So you can tap on that 1.5 steps above that and have another inversion of A minor. Switch into the left hand. Switch these to the left hand. Now you're all kinds of inverted. One more time for the world: to make a major triad, root, major third, minor third. To make a minor triad, root, minor third, major third. And to make a diminished triad, root, minor third, minor third. I recommend taking your favorite diatonic key, whether that be A major or G minor or whatever, writing out all the chord triads that are available in that key, or just, you know, Google it or something like that. And then try tapping those arpeggios out across all the different string sets and stuff. The ones that we did today were, you know, all those ones in G on the high E string, but I also recommend playing through all those triads across every single string that you have, playing those in all different positions and stuff. Use these simple tricks to play sweet arpeggio licks across the neck, and you're going to be tapping into the shred powers you never knew you had. Thanks again so much for watching this lesson. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell for notifications of new content coming at you every single week. If you enjoyed this video and learned something from it, be sure to support my channel over on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. You're going to get access to bonus lessons, backing tracks, all kinds of other good stuff on there, so be sure to click the Patreon link in the video description and check out that page today. And if you're interested in booking some one-on-one Skype lessons with me sometime, be sure to drop me an email, benellerguitars@gmail.com. I'll get back to you as fast as I can, and we can talk rates and times. Well guys, it's been fun as always, but I've got to get away from the camera here and go make myself some lunch before I head off for a full day of teaching lessons to cool kids like you guys. I recommend you step away from that computer, grab your guitar, and get to work. Less clicking, more picking.